Football Kenya Federation Premier League. Now, we move away from Football Kenya Federation Premier League, we get into the FKF elections. Yes, the branch elections may have been postponed yesterday, but of course, the candidates that want to take over the top position in football in the country are ongoing with their campaigns. Yesterday, I had a chance of speaking with Barry Otieno, who's a former CEO for Football Kenya Federation, and the main point that we spoke about, aside from why he wants to be the top boss in football, was broadcast rights. This is an area that is yet to be exploited the way it should be. So I asked him, where should, Kenya, or rather, what should Kenya do in regards to broadcast rights? Let's listen in.
First is, it's an area that a lot of people do not understand. And I've heard people say that Kenyan football should go back to the glory years where people used to fill the stadium. Now, I'm happy that, and I'm happy, but also I'm lucky that I have some marketing background. So I want to give a background on why maybe it might not be possible to go back to those days unless we do something radical. So one is that I'm 41 today, and when I grew up, the only mall that was in Kenya, if I remember well, was Yaya Center in Sarit. And as I mentioned, there was no technology, so there were no phones. I didn't grow up with internet until I was maybe 18. And the only thing that people used to do was to venture in outdoor activities. So what it meant then is that if there was a match, because there was no television, there were no phones, there was no technology, there were no malls, and the middle class in Kenya was a bit small, is that people then used to go to the stadium. And they were not exposed to the EPL because there was no pay TV. Fast forward to 2024 and take my kid, for example, who's 3 years old and who knows how to use a phone even before he can talk. And the middle class has grown. So the middle class family wake up and watch EPL. The middle class family wake up and watch Formula One. The middle class family wake up and go to the malls. So when you take your kid to, and I'm just using this as an example, to Annex or to Ruaraka, the basic amenities are lacking. So there are no toilets, there is no shade, and there is no snack. And when you bring this content, the football content, into television, it's not appealing to these people because now a majority of people have pay TV. So at 3 p.m. they would be tuning in to watch Arsenal or Manchester United. The commentary is good, the ambience is good. We are not yet at that level. So what do we need to do? We need to take baby steps in building this brand. We need to engage government to ensure that we have a surface that is appealing to watch on TV. We need to engage clubs to understand that it's not about shouting about the match. And last time I said it and I can repeat it. People think marketing is telling people, come. No, it's not. And I'll try to be a bit slow so that people might understand. So when there is a match between Gor Mahia and FC, two of our biggest clubs, and you get a graphic designer to go on your social media post and say, Gor Mahia are playing AFC. Basically, that's an advertisement. You're just advertising that game. But then when you intentionally go out with a car, go around telling people, there will be a match on this date, these are the prices, the match will be at Kasarani, that's promotion. When you get people to talk about the price of the ticket, this match is there, these are the ticket prices, it's high or it's low, or I can't get VVIP, that's publicity. But then comes the most important part. When actually someone has seen your post, someone has seen your car go around promoting, someone has discussed about the match, and this individual comes to the stadium and gets an experience of a lifetime. So he arrives there is ample parking, his car is not broken into, it's easy to check in with the ticket, he sits down, there is snack at halftime, the pitch is well watered, the fans are great, there's no hooliganism. When you deliberately do all these things, that's marketing. And it is my experience that makes me want to come back. At the moment, the biggest challenge we have is that we shout about a match and people come to the stadium and then they get a bad experience. Their car is broken into. There are no toilets. The pitch is bumpy, and they don't come back. They decide the next weekend, I'll watch Formula 1. So we will not study at a major scale, but we might say, let's study with FKF PL clubs, do that. But that's one part. The other part, Robinson, is whether we have people who understand the marketing and commercialization of football aspect. And I'll use KPL as an example. So when KPL signed a deal with SuperSport, they gave SuperSport all rights that were available to be given, including rights that SuperSport could not exploit. For example, I know that you and Elisha work for a free-to-air station. But SuperSport were given those rights. SuperSport were given radio rights. SuperSport were given betting rights. SuperSport were given data rights. And so it limits the amount of money that you can get. I'm not saying those people were wrong. I believe they didn't understand the issue of commercialization of football asset as pertaining to broadcast rights. And broadcast rights are in different categories. And now there's a challenge because of technology. So you have FTA, free to air, then you have pay TV. But then now, technology is bringing streaming. You can see how disruptive Netflix has been. So even as you plan about broadcast rights, you should be aware of where technology is going. Now we have AI cameras that if you get 4, you don't need people to shoot. But we also have pay TVs that commercially are not doing well because of the disruption of technology. So what we intend to do, one, is to equip, again, our football administrators at both level, the grassroots and the club level, to understand the commercialization of broadcast rights and how they affect them, and how these rights can be negotiated. At the moment, I don't believe in Egypt, rights are not centralized. In fact, the Egyptian FA agreed with CAF that they exploit their rights differently because TV is so big in Egypt. Now, the other countries that play in CAF competitions have their rights centralized. And when it's centralized, is that where the federation now goes to Azam and negotiates a deal on behalf of all teams. Then this money comes and it's given to Azam. And Azam is given pay TV rights. Then we go to KBC and negotiate for FTA. And then we look for someone like Canal Sports, who has got a live streaming platform, and negotiate that. And then we look for data companies that generate odds for betting firms and negotiate another deal for that. So it's an area that a lot of people do not understand in Kenya. It's an area that we would be keen to ensure that we not only do, but also sensitize people on how it's done and how it affects them.
Well, of course, that is Barry Otieno, a former FKF CEO, who now wants to be the FKF president. And he's saying that, there are areas that are yet to be exploited, especially broadcast rights. And he was explaining on what he intends to do if elected as the Football Kenya Federation president. But remember, yesterday we had the Football Kenya Federation branch elections halted by Akitui Court, and we'll know the way forward on Tuesday. I want us to take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll be again crossing over to Muthaiga, where the Muthaiga Lady Captain Prize is taking place, and we get to hear from the ladies that are participating in that on how the experience has been, as well as take a look at what is happening in the English Premier League this afternoon. That will be after the break.